MSNBC announces a major win for Donald Trump, as over 1.6 million illegal immigrants have already self-deported. But instead of celebrating this good news, MSNBC is actually furious. Because in their words, the American dream is not for American citizens. Instead, they believe the American dream is the entitled right of the third world, and Donald Trump is a vile, immoral dictator for prohibiting their access to it. But make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I have some insane clips coming out of Europe where the illegal immigrants there are getting so comfortable and so bold that they are taunting Europeans to their face, unapologetically revealing their true intentions, which are to invade their country, become the majority, and replace Western culture with radical Islamic Sharia law. Thank God Donald Trump put a stop to that in America. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 400,000 subscribers. But let's start by listening to MSNBC talk about how the American dream is actually for illegal immigrants.
Turning back to the U.S. now, amid President Trump's aggressive immigration crackdown, a new trend is emerging among migrants who once sought that American dream. Many are now self-deporting or ending their journeys to the U.S. in what a new Rolling Stone article calls the Great Reverse Migration. Some migrants, despite traveling thousands of miles to reach the U.S. border, are turning around, seeking new lives elsewhere after hearing about the fallout from the Trump administration's new policies. There's new polling out there showing how nearly 50% of Hispanics now no longer believe there is an American dream, that it's disappearing or no longer exists in 2025.
Oh, the great tragedy that people who break into our country don't think it's worth it anymore. The Democrats have no shame in admitting that they think the prosperity and the wealth of America belongs to the rest of the world. The Democrats still don't understand that the American people saw the Biden administration orchestrated importation of 20 million people into our country, funded by the taxpayers and then sustained by the taxpayers, as the biggest middle finger they've ever received. At a time when Americans were saying housing is too expensive, groceries are too expensive, energy is too expensive. We are not optimistic about our future. The American dream that our parents, that our grandparents got to experience seems like it's fading away from us. And instead of trying to fix that problem for their own citizens, the Democrats said, well, that's just too bad. The American dream now is actually reserved for the entire third world. And they don't even have to wait in line to come here to get it. We'll take your tax dollars and get them here and then pay to keep them here. Americans can't have kids because it's too damn expensive. But the illegals that come here, they have 3, 4, 5, 6 kids because every aspect about their life that average Americans find unaffordable is paid for by the government. Under the Democrats, the Americans were literally funding their own eradication. And as I'll show you in these crazy videos from Europe later, that's exactly what these migrants plan to do. They're not even hiding it anymore. But let's hear MSNBC say that despite this being the most sad and tragic situation ever, because oh my God, poor immigrants, this is actually a major win for Donald Trump.
You are reporting on what is a massive reverse migration that's happening. These people who had traveled north, risking their lives, seeking the American dream, looking at America as the promised land, are now turning around. They're risking their lives to go south. How significant is this?
It's huge. Look, I think if you're the Trump administration, this is a win. You know, you see the southern border, you see the Darien Gap, and you see a story that's very simple. Migration has plummeted, right? During Joe Biden, in the peak of 2024, you had 3,000 migrants per day, Anna, crossing the Darien Jungle, attempting to reach the United States. In June 2025, you know how many people crossed the Darien Jungle? 10. And so if you're a Trump, you are completely celebrating the situation.
This is the problem with the Democrat rhetoric, that America is a country of immigrants. It implies that our love and consideration and compassion should be directed outwards instead of inwards. Oh, they risk their lives to come here, so we have to be nice and let them in. Actually, they have a right to come in here. Not only is their immigration policy anti-American, but it's also uncompassionate, which is the supposed Democrat justification for this madness. I mean, when you just announce that the border is open, it sparks all kind of humanitarian crises. People walking thousands of miles through jungles, through deserts, and dying. 500,000 kids being lost and trafficked. 1 out of every 3 women experiencing sexual assault. 3 to 10,000 people per day overrunning the ports of entry, leaving massive gaps in the border where then the drugs, the guns, the terrorists come through. And then, once they get into the United States, you have to deal with the problem of where are these people going to go? It overruns housing, it overruns schools, it overruns hospitals. And when you have 10 illegal immigrants staying in a house together, all receiving government assistance, the landlord can justify charging higher rents that then price the actual Americans out of the market. But MSNBC doubles back and continues talking about how this is just so unfair to the poor illegal immigrants.
Yes, people aren't going north, they're going south. And through that journey south, there are thousands of migrants that are letting go of something that I believe is the key asset of this country, and that is this American dream. And so the question is, what happens if you have generations of immigrants that stop looking north, that are looking for whatever they were searching for in the United States elsewhere? And I'll give you numbers very quickly just to really start understanding this trend. Right after Trump is inaugurated, in January and February of 2025, you had 3,000 U.S.-bound migrants that were waiting in limbo in Mexico that were asking for the United Nations for help to help them relocate back to their homelands. Fast forward to June 2025, you have almost 8,000 migrants that are going from Panama to Colombia, going south. So these numbers may seem small, but they're getting larger.
What happens if generations of migrants don't decide to come here? Well, that means the resources of America can be spent bettering the lives of actual American citizens. The American dream should be achievable to Americans before we open it up to anybody else. The Democrat conflation with illegal and legal immigration is so disingenuous. If you come here legally on a visa, that means you already have a job. That means you might have a business. The moment you come here, you aren't relying on government assistance and you are instantly a net positive. Not only does unfettered illegal immigration overrun the capacity of our infrastructure and make everything more expensive for the people here, but these people come with nothing. So the government has to fund their existence. So we don't have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people just living on the street and dying. And then they'll try to make an economically sound argument saying, well, who's going to pick all of our crops? Who's going to work as the maids at the hotels? Who's going to do all the hard, grueling, laborious jobs that Americans are too good to do? Okay, so you're advocating for an illegal indentured servant class that gets paid slave wages and doesn't have any labor rights. And we have to let in all these global South brown people because these jobs are perfect for them. Like they're literally advocating for race-based slavery and then claim they're the party of compassion and empathy and human rights. But now let's go across the pond and check in with Europe, because this is a glimpse of what America was about to turn into if Donald Trump did not get elected. Here's a Muslim immigrant in Germany proudly telling the reporter on camera their plan is to become the majority of Germany and then institute Islamic Sharia law. Take a look.
Die sagen, ich will hier keine Scharia in Deutschland, das ist Schwachsinn. Jeder, der sich
Die den Islam verändern. Du bist für authentischen Islam, so wie er ist.
Jeder, der sich als Muslim bezeichnet, muss die Scharia wollen auf der ganzen Welt. Ich will die Scharia in Deutschland auf jeden Fall.
Würdest du die deutsche Verfassung aushebeln, wenn du die Gelegenheit hättest?
Auf jeden Fall.
Okay, danke.
Wie zum Beispiel? Wie könnte man jetzt aus Deutschland einen islamischen Staat machen? Wie zum Beispiel?
Laut den Werken ist das so, dass man, wenn man in der Mehrheit ist, wie Sie auch erklärt haben, sind wir dafür befohlen, Deutschland einzunehmen, auf jeden Fall.
Also es ist eine islamische Pflicht, auch Deutschland einzunehmen.
These are the people the American left was letting in. That's why you had ICE protests in Los Angeles where people were waving the Mexican flag. Because in their belief, America is stolen land, it's illegitimate, and California used to be a part of Mexico, so they're coming to take it back. And that's why they're so against ICE, because they philosophically believe that every illegal Mexican in California has a historical right to be there. And they are blatantly in violation of United States federal immigration law. That's why, despite not wanting to go back to Mexico, they're proudly waving the Mexican flag in California. And if you import millions of people into your state who don't assimilate into the culture, who don't know English, California becomes American territory in name only. But here's a clip from Denmark where an immigrant is taunting a Danish man to his face, telling him, "We have 5 kids, you guys only have 1 kid. In 10 or 15 years, this will be our country, and there's nothing you can do about it."
Ja, flere børn, mand. Danskerne er 5 millioner, bliver snart udryddet, mand. Kig på danskerne, kig på nordmændene, kig på kvinderne, mand. Vi er flere millioner, mand. I er i et samfund, der ikke laver, I ligger og boller dyr. Det er derfor, I ikke har fået børn, mand.
I mean, these people are getting bold. This is the end result of the left's suicidal empathy. They get so much personal satisfaction out of virtue signaling, they are willing to hand over their country, their tradition, their culture, their history to foreign invaders because, oh man, that's the compassionate thing to do. That's why here soon I'm actually gonna make a pretty long video debunking the left's claim that compassion and empathy are what should dictate governing a country. But the last thing I'm gonna show you is a British politician openly admitting on TV she cares more about the rights of illegal immigrants than she does her own legal constituents. This is insane.
Your lawyers, under your guidance, have said in terms that the rights of asylum seekers are more important than the rights of local people in Epping Forest. Would you at least acknowledge that that is what they will hear? And it's up to you. Ministers can say, we agree with that, or we don't agree with it. You can't simply say, let's balance things. Do you agree with what your lawyers said, or don't you?
Yes, of course we do. But
now, we all know this is what the American left believes. They just haven't blatantly said it yet quite like that. But I mean, all their actions have pointed to that belief. I mean, labeling an El Salvadorian MS-13 gang member as a Maryland dad. This is why Donald Trump getting elected was the most important event of the 21st century. In my mind, it's not even close. Donald Trump getting elected might have saved Western civilization entirely. There have been humongous anti-immigration protests popping up all over Europe. The globalist agenda is getting rejected across the world. And it wouldn't have happened unless the American citizens were ballsy enough to stand up and say, we've had enough. This inspired the citizens of Europe to look and say, well, if they're doing it in America, then we can do it here too. We can finally talk about this issue that we've been silenced into accepting, called a racist, called a bigot. If we didn't accept the mass importation of people who are now so bold, they're telling us to our face that they're trying to take over our country, eradicate our culture, and turn Europe into an Islamic continent. And we get down in America, don't get me wrong, but Europeans are crazy when they want a revolution. And I personally think the backlash, the pendulum swing we're going to see in Europe, when their politicians are openly admitting they care more about illegal immigrants than actual citizens, is going to make the mass deportations in America look like child's play. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.